As a tall person out here, like in Asia, what's it like?
Some guys would come like behind me, like near me, to like pretend to like be dancing and get their friends to measure their height.
What's dating like for you as a tall woman out here in South Korea?
It's the same as in every other country. I think it's difficult, but I don't really care about height.
Have you, faced any difficulty, like being tall out here, like, in terms of maybe like shopping?
Not really. Like shopping, I've had a couple experiences where staff were rude to me. Overall, if I find the right places to go to, I can definitely shop here.
Where are you from?
I'm from Germany.
How long have you been in Korea?
2 years now.
I can see you're actually very tall. Like, if you don't mind me asking, like, how tall are you?
6'4", 5", 1.95 m.
And so what's it like, being a tall person in Korea? Specifically like a tall woman in Korea?
It's an interesting experience. A lot of people approach me and ask me if I'm either a model or a sports player. A lot of the older people stare at me as if I'm straight from the zoo. It's very interesting. Sometimes older men follow me around. But yeah, other than that, it's interesting. People just stare.
And how do you feel about that?
I think I'm used to it because I lived in Japan before and people were like even taking pictures of me back then. I'm used to it, so.
Would you say, like your height is based on genetics?
Yes, yeah. My father is 2'3", my mother is 1'83", and my brother is 2 meter tall. So it runs in the family, yeah.
What's it like, finding clothes out here, like in South Korea?
Finding clothes, tops is okay. Like pants and shoes, I would have to order abroad. So I order it on ASOS usually, but it's difficult, yeah. It has been difficult in Germany as well, so yeah, it's a struggle for tall people.
What would you say, like the struggles are of being tall in Korea is?
Yeah, I would say finding clothes in my length, that's definitely one thing, yeah. And I mean for others, maybe that people are staring, they're very blunt, like they don't hide it. Or maybe also like when I enter the subway and I always have to duck down. It's like, yeah.
What's dating like for you as a tall woman out here in South Korea?
It's the same as in every other country. I think it's difficult, but I don't really care about height because I'm so tall, so I don't know. It's difficult anywhere, so. And then here it's also the language barrier, so.
So what would you say, like your bare minimum like is if you were to be in a relationship with a guy?
Since I'm 1.95 m, I always say like the shortest could be 1.75 m.
So can you briefly introduce yourself?
My name is Storm. I'm 20 years old, and I'm currently traveling Korea for about a month.
Where are you from?
I'm from Belgium.
I can actually see you're tall.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, like how tall are you?
I'm 193.
What's it like being a tall person in South Korea?
First of all, my expectations of like the height of Korean people was a lot smaller than they actually are. Like there's still like the guys are actually like decent height compared to my own country, but of course like I stick out like a sore thumb, obviously. And like I'm blonde, so my experience has mostly been that like I can see everything very well. It doesn't bother me that I'm this tall because I'm also like I'm extremely tall, so I'm tall everywhere, you know.
Have you, faced any difficulty, like being tall out here, like, in terms of maybe like shopping or, like just getting into places?
Not really. Like shopping, I've had a couple experiences where staff were rude to me. Overall, if I find the right places to go to, I can definitely shop here. Because the men's section, the trousers, they're awesome.
Have you, like ever felt, like insecure about your height, like ever?
Yeah, obviously. Like when I was a little younger, like when I was 14, that really got to me. But now I'm just like, okay, it is this way. Can I change it? No. Better be happy about it than sad.
What's your dating life like?
Well, I'm bi, so like I have both pools to pick from. I don't really mind if a guy is shorter than me. Of course, I prefer him to be taller than me. But a lot of guys in my home country will be like, oh, I will not date you just because you're taller than me.
I'm pretty sure, like you have a certain preference. So like how short can you go?
175, something along those lines, yeah. My rule is if we can hold hands comfortably, then I'm okay with it.
Can you briefly introduce yourself?
I'm Giovanna. I come from Brazil and I just spent my semester here in Seoul studying abroad at Yonsei.
If you don't mind me asking, like how tall are you?
I'm 185 and am a person that does enjoy to wear platform shoes, so usually taller than that.
As a tall person in Korea, like out here, like in Asia, what's it like?
It's definitely very interesting from all the other places I've lived in so far. You definitely get a lot of attention, not necessarily in a bad way. It's more a lot of stares constantly, like in the subway or in the streets. You just notice a lot of people staring. I've never gotten any bad attention or just negative experience from it, but it's usually just a lot of stares.
And how do you feel about people staring at you?
In the beginning, it was definitely a little awkward or just when you accidentally make eye contact with a person that's staring at you, you know, you're like, you have that moment. But eventually I just learn to ignore, like just dissociate from my surroundings and just try to ignore the stares, because otherwise I feel like it does kind of get to you in a way of just standing out too much.
How is shopping like out here for you?
I came here not really expecting to be able to shop for a lot of things. I basically brought all my pants and bottoms that I haven't honestly even attempted to find, because most of them will end up like capris. When it comes to like just shorter bottoms or tops, that does usually fit pretty nicely. I've also found that just going to Western stores does work the best. For me and for people who are on, for example, like the heavier side, shopping here is complicated just given sizing of things, one size or just things going small, medium only.
What would you say the struggles are of living as a tall person is in Korea?
I think besides learning how to deal with the unwanted attention, there's nothing too hard about it or too impairing. It's mostly just learning to not let the stares get to you, like on a mental health level, not getting too self-conscious about it, and then just your usual things of just not hitting your head anywhere because low ceilings. And yeah, and I feel like especially as a girl also comes the unwanted male attention from it. So just learning how to deal with those things in a respectful way.
And you just made mention about unwanted male attention. What's that like for you?
I went with my close friend to Apgujeong Rodeo to just go clubbing, and because at that point I had already learned to ignore all the stares and all of that, she was the one actually pointing out to me that some guys would come like behind me, like near me, to like pretend to like be dancing and get their friends to measure their height with me, even though, you know, it could obviously tell that they were doing that, but they would just like come behind me and just like pretend to dance a little bit, and my friend would be like, oh, there's, you know, people behind. So you just like would kind of like look and give like a slight side eye so they would leave and all.
So what's dating like out here for you as a tall person?
So dating, I wouldn't say I've had like an actual dating experience of like officially dating someone, but just like going on dates or just meeting people at a club. It's just been everything very casual. Also just because I wasn't personally looking for anything like that. But I would say I do prefer taller guys for obvious reasons, but I've surprisingly been able to find guys here that were taller than me. I have found that once they know my height, they tend to become even more interested despite the fact that I'm taller than them.
Can you briefly introduce yourself?
My name is Chloe, an English name, and I'm 16 years old.
I can actually see you're very tall. How tall are you?
180.
What's it like, you know, being a tall woman in Korea?
It feels weird because average Korean woman's tall is not as I'm tall. So I can't see their heads, the top of their heads when I take a bus or subway. Sometimes they could see I'm kind of special and unique and kind of weird because it's not usual things, and it's hard to buy clothes in here. Other country has big size, like especially shoes for me. It's really difficult for me.
What would you say the struggles are living in Korea like as a tall person?
I feel I'm always paying attention from other person when I'm walking the street.
간단하게 본인 자기소개 부탁드려도 될까요?
저는 지금 서울에 살고 있고 26살 이가영이라고 합니다.
키가 몇이세요?
지금 키는 180cm입니다.
한국에서 사는 건 어때요? 키 큰 여자로서.
어렸을 때는 사실 키 큰 거를 굉장히 싫어했어요. 너무 주목도 많이 받고 사람들이 이제 신기해하고 이렇게 큰 사람들이 잘 없다 보니까 조금 싫었어요. 많이 싫었어요. 근데 점점 지나다 보니까 이제 익숙해져서 지금은 괜찮아요.
그거 때문에 뭐 다른 같은 거 없었나요?
따돌림 그런 건 없었는데 항상 신기해했어요. 친구들도 신기해하고, 근데 이제 뭐 친구들이야 이제 옆에 있으면 익숙해지니까 딱히 그런 건 신경은 안 쓰긴 했는데, 항상 뭐 어렸을 때부터 단체 사진 찍게 되면 이렇게 튀어나와 있어요, 머리가. 어렸을 때는 되게 싫어서 막 이렇게 자세도 제대로 피고 다니지도 않고 약간 좀 이렇게 숙이고 다니고 뭔가 불편한 게 좀 많았던 것 같긴 해요.
언제부터 본인의 키를 자신 있게 받아들였던 건가요?
고등학교 2학년부터 그때부터 이제 모델에 관심을 갖기 시작하면서부터 괜찮았던 것 같아요.
사회에서 뭐 불편한 것은 있나요? 그 기간 사람으로서?
사실 뭐 생활하면서 불편한 건 없는데 그냥 시선이 있을 뿐이지 뭐 살아가는데 불편한 건 없는 것 같아요.
옷 사실 때 힘든 거 없나요?
바지 같은 경우가 이제 기장이 안 맞는 경우가 되게 많긴 했었어요. 그래서 그런 바지류 살 때가 좀 불편했던 것 같아요. 저희 막 기장을 찾아서 긴 브랜드들을 찾아서 사는 경향이 컸고 다른 옷들이 이제 사실 짧은 경우가 되게 많긴 했던 것 같아요.
연애할 때는 그 부분에 대해서 힘들었던 건가요?
개인적인 생각이지만 보통의 경우 남성분들이 이제 키 큰 여자를 선호하는 경우가 키 작은 여자 선호하는 것보다의 경우는 보다 작은 것 같긴 해요. 여자가 자신보다 이제 크면 조금 부담스러워하는 경우도 많이 보긴 했어요.